Obviously, there's some talk still about Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson still being left undone. The more that I look into this conversation with Aaron Rodgers waiting around, getting some visits, with Russell Wilson, visiting the Giants, visiting the Browns, it was more of a get to know you phase. What the hell does that mean? You're Russell Wilson. You know what you're getting from him.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. But the more I keep looking into this and kind of peeling the layers back, I don't understand why the Steelers just don't go get Russell Wilson. I mean, you had a losing streak towards the end of the season. I get it. Fine. But you were still serviceable. And might I remind you, Russell Wilson was an amazing quarterback in Seattle when DK Metcalf was his wide receiver. I mean, has anybody threw the ball better to DK Metcalf in his career than Russell Wilson? I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but just by the eye test and what I remember, I can't say that he has. I don't think Geno threw the ball to DK better than Russ did. I don't. And you are getting that back in Pittsburgh with a great offensive line, with another one on the other side, and George Pickens with a solid defense. I think Russell Wilson's the right decision for Pittsburgh. I don't know why they're kicking the ball down the street and not letting this happen. Stop waiting on Aaron Rodgers, man. Do you agree?
I do.
Like you're on the other side of this.
No, I do. I agree, but also I'm not in the same boat, if that makes sense. Okay. We're kind of pedaling alongside each other here. I think, if they were to add Russell Wilson, it makes the most sense. It's a completely sane play. Like, obviously knows the system, obviously friends or has a relationship in some sense with DK, and a veteran. I think he checks all those boxes. And so that's where kind of our boats are not the same boats. I do think that Pittsburgh signing Russell back and letting a Jackson Dart kind of fall in behind him is the right play here. I don't think you go with the Aaron Rodgers route anymore. I think it's pretty clear at this point that Rodgers was mostly in this free agency talk, potentially with Pittsburgh as a leverage situation to try to get to Minnesota. That's just the way I'm viewing it as it currently stands. And I don't think he really wants to be there. And you don't want a quarterback that doesn't want to be there, especially with where this team in Pittsburgh is at. And so why not bring back a veteran who we've seen is competent, is at least able to play football in this system. You've got some prior connections in DK. You can snag on a few wins. And if it is like a situation where you play 8-9 games and then you throw in Jackson Dart or whoever slips to him in the second or third round or whatever the case might be. We talked about how many quarterbacks are actually going to come out of this draft. You might be able to get a really good price on a 5th round quarterback where you can use your first couple rounds and kind of fill holes or whatever. Obviously we'll go into more draft strategy. I'm just thinking off the top of my head here. Let's just get a quarterback at a decent value. You can build off of Russ in the meantime, and then obviously he will learn from Russ, and he will kind of take that torch, take that flag, if you will, and go from there.
PFF has a mock draft that just came out, and it came out on Monday, one of their latest, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, with their 21st pick, is projected to draft running back Omarion Hampton from North Carolina. Averaged more than 4 yards after contact in each of his past 2 seasons. According to PFF, their little bottom line here, it says Hampton is one of the class's most physically gifted running backs in his combination of size, explosiveness, and lower body strength. He can be a productive slasher type of runner behind zone schemes, but his overall vision could make him a boom or bust producer depending on his offensive line. Sounds a lot like what they had with Najee Harris, but you're getting a reset with him. Already have Jaylen Warren in that background as well, that backfield as well. If you have a guy like Russell Wilson as your quarterback, you already have great receivers. We've talked about the tight end play. Adding one more offensive weapon like Hampton, it's hard to not pick them as a playoff team heading into the new season.
It really is. I mean, I'm just going to read some of these names, and I know we've read these names 1,000 times, but are you kidding me? Cam Ward, Shadir Sanders, probably not available. But are you telling me that I don't know what the order will be, but I think Pittsburgh has a shot to get any one of these guys. And are you telling me that all of these guys would mean they're not playoff teams? Jalen Milroe, Will Howard, Riley Leonard, Jackson Dart, Dylan Gabriel, Quinn Ewers, Kyle McCord out of Syracuse. Obviously, these other names. Worth noting, but not quite on that level. Those are just unbelievable names, and I think Steelers can get any one of those. And to tell me that they would be incapable, obviously it's a gamble. That is what the draft is, but I don't read those and say, oh yeah, there's just no way. Those are real names.
I'm with you 100%. And if you wanted to go with a guy that is dynamically different than a Russell Wilson. Going with a guy like Will Howard in the later rounds would be huge. Going with a guy like Tyler Shuck, who has had one of the most upskill as of late, other than injuries, would probably have been a first-round pick a couple of years ago. So, there's a lot of players that I think could fit Pittsburgh's, like, just their thought process, their behavior, their attitude, their culture. Who knows if Mike Tomlin's around to see that moving forward, though, because we continue to talk about him being in the hot seat after not performing year after year. He still sticks around and stays there. I think he's one of the best coaches in the NFL. He's the most tenured for a reason. But how long does that last if they continue to kick the can down the road, not pick a good quarterback, not pick someone to continue on the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers? You got to think that eventually they're going to have to move in a different direction. Just wonder when that happens. Go. Question of the day.
This is another question for you.
2 in a row.
This is, I'm on a heater. Could Mike Tomlin taking a chance on a quarterback extend his career, or would it actually, let me just re-ask this. We are set. Okay. Just I'm mentally where I want to be. Tune in, everybody. Lock in here because for some reason I'm blanking. Would Mike Tomlin taking a risk on a quarterback early in this draft hurt or help his career longevity? Because if he takes a chance and then is in a situation where, we've got to see this quarterback develop, you've seen that I'm trying to further this organization, take a real gamble on somebody that we can see years and years and years of production out of, that's the upside. But if he comes in and completely tanks, then it's like, okay, well, now you've completely tanked everything that we have, and we no longer have winning seasons, and we're not the same organization. You're out the door. What do you think?
It's boom or bust if Mason Rudolph is quarterback too. That's where it's boom or bust. If they decide to not go after Russ, not go after Rodgers, not go after any other veteran free agent, and then draft a quarterback. And then they say, okay, Mason Rudolph, maybe you'll start at the beginning of the season, and then we can slowly slide in the rookie. Hopefully he's ready. But if you bring Russell Wilson in and he runs it, and if things don't work out, then you can switch to the rookie, then it's not a problem for Mike Tomlin. Then you're moving on. Gotcha. You're taking that step forward in the right direction. But if the rookie is the only thing on your roster other than Mason Rudolph, who is therefore being a backup, that is his job. He is not there to take over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, we all know that. He's coming back to be just a backup, and that's okay. One of the top 64, we brought that up. Shout out Nintendo. But it's just the way it's got to be. I think you do both. I think you absolutely do both. Bring Russell Wilson back. Bring him back for one more year. It's the best play. And then in the 3rd, 4th round, hell, it's 2nd round if you feel so lucky for it, if you like the guy, get a quarterback. You don't have to take a quarterback in the 1st round, not at pick 21. You don't need to.
No.
You really don't. I think you can get that running back, as you mentioned. You could find a way to bolster your defense a little more. Interior defensive line is loaded. If you want to add maybe a Cam Hayward's replacement, perfect time in the draft to do that in this one as well. There's a lot of options the Steelers can take. Quarterback does not have to be in the 1st round, but I do think they have to add a quarterback of the future in this draft. It just can't be the only quarterback they make this offseason.
No, I agree. I think they need to have kind of a veteran presence there. And I really think Russell Wilson is the best play here. I just don't know if that's what they're willing to do. But looking at everything, all the conversations we've had, it's all pointing towards like Russell Wilson makes the most sense. Bring in a young guy and you can go from there. And I mean, who knows? Maybe they don't even draft a young guy. Like just bring in a guy that you are going to kind of try to position the organization behind and roll with, right? I'm just saying, I don't know if Pittsburgh's going to come after me for that take, but I think that that's the right play here. I think you try to get Russell Wilson back with his talent that we've seen and his relationship with DK and his fit in there at this time. Like you get a few wins, you can ride kind of his let's ride deal for the first however long until it kind of falls apart. And then you can go. I just think that that just makes most sense to me. Okay. Disagree in the comments. It's whatever.
And if it doesn't work, what's the worst that you get?
Exactly.
Unlimited diarrhea?
Oh, I don't want that. I'm not going to lie to you. I just
Wilson said that once. That the meme goes about him saying unlimited diarrhea multiple times.
I didn't know the diarrhea one. I mean, unlimited. I trust me. I know, but Maybe is it the Dangerous sandwich, or is that what it was? The Danger Witch?
Mm-hmm. Oof, crazy.